Welcome to After Hour Mysteries. In today's video, we are going to dive deep into Fall Asleep to the Frozen Pyramids of Antarctica, proof of an ancient race. In this journey, we delve into the mysteries of the Frozen Pyramids of Antarctica, where ancient secrets lie beneath layers of ice and time. Imagine a civilization so advanced, its wonders remain shrouded in mystery, just waiting for us to uncover them. Have you ever wondered what stories the ice could tell? Stay with us, because what you discover may leave you questioning everything you thought you knew, igniting your curiosity and sparking a desire to explore the uncharted territories of our shared human heritage. Are you ready to embark on this adventure into the unknown? It all began with a faint whisper among explorers, rumors of colossal structures rising from the ice, echoing through the minds of those daring enough to listen. For centuries, Antarctica had been regarded as a barren wasteland, a continent of ice and desolation. Yet, amidst this frozen expanse, tales persisted of immense pyramids, their peaks piercing the sky like ancient sentinels guarding secrets long forgotten. As brave adventurers set foot on the desolate shores of Antarctica, their hearts raced at the prospect of uncovering an extraordinary mystery that had eluded mankind for centuries. They were drawn not just by the allure of exploration, but by the thrill of potential discovery that promised to rewrite the history books. These explorers were a diverse group, united by a shared passion for discovery and the unknown. Scientists, historians, and thrill-seekers each brought their unique perspectives and expertise to the endeavor. With every passing day, the whispers grew louder, tantalizing the imaginations of those who yearned for adventure. They set sail into the uncharted waters, confronting a landscape both beautiful and brutal, where icy winds howled like ghosts of the past. The expedition was fraught with challenges. The explorers had to navigate treacherous icebergs and navigate through blinding snowstorms that obscured their path. They prepared for the worst, armed with their determination and the hope of finding something truly remarkable, a glimpse into a world long forgotten. Each member of the team had their own reasons for joining the expedition. Some sought fame and fortune, while others were driven by a deep-seated need to uncover the truth about humanity's past. But these explorers were not prepared for what awaited them. As they traversed the harsh terrain, fierce storms, and bone-chilling temperatures tested their resolve. The relentless cold seeped into their bones, making each breath feel like a laborious task. Each step forward was met with the haunting silence of the frozen wasteland, leaving them questioning their sanity. Were they chasing shadows? Was it all a figment of their imagination? Doubts crept in, but the allure of the unknown kept them moving forward, propelling them onward despite the growing despair. And then, just when the weight of uncertainty began to take root, they saw it, the pyramids, standing tall against the stark white backdrop, their presence almost otherworldly. The sight was breathtaking, a surreal juxtaposition against the icy expanse. Towering structures, their surfaces glistening like diamonds under the pale Antarctic sun, seemed to beckon them closer. Awe washed over the team as they approached, hearts pounding with anticipation. Yet even as wonder enveloped them, a chilling thought lingered in the back of their minds. Were these structures real, or were they merely mirages conjured by the mind's deepest desires? As they drew nearer, the enormity of what lay before them became undeniable. The pyramids were not just mounds of ice. They were monumental testaments to a civilization long forgotten, a civilization that had somehow thrived in this forbidding environment. The explorers exchanged glances filled with both excitement and trepidation. They had crossed a threshold into a realm filled with potential and peril, a gateway to understanding who had built these structures and why they had been abandoned. With renewed vigor, they began to document their findings, taking photographs and making sketches of the intricate designs etched into the icy surfaces. Each detail sparked more questions than answers. What technologies had the builders possessed? What had their lives been like? As they worked, the atmosphere was electric with possibility, each heartbeat echoing the history that seemed to resonate from the stones themselves. But this was just the beginning of a quest that would take them deeper into the heart of Antarctica, where more secrets lay hidden beneath the ice. What revelations awaited them within these ancient structures? What truths would they uncover about the civilization that once thrived here? Each passing moment intensified their anticipation, fueling their determination and pushing them onward into the depths of history. As night fell, the temperature plummeted, and the team set up camp near the base of the pyramids. Their breaths visible in the frigid air, the stars twinkled overhead, a breathtaking display against the inky sky. yet their beauty did little to alleviate the creeping sense of unease. With the pyramids looming in the distance, a sense of foreboding settled over the camp. But little did they know, the journey ahead would reveal truths that many would prefer to keep buried, and the fight for knowledge would test their very limits. As they prepared to retire for the night, dreams of ancient civilizations and forgotten histories danced in their minds, setting the stage for the adventure that lay ahead. The morning light filtered through the icy mist, casting a surreal glow over the pyramids as the explorers emerged from their tents, hearts still racing from the discoveries of the previous day. After a restless night filled with vivid dreams of ancient civilizations, they gathered around a makeshift breakfast, their conversations buzzing with excitement and speculation. Each team member shared their thoughts about the pyramids, what they could mean, and what stories lay buried within their frozen walls. The air was crisp and biting, yet the thrill of discovery warmed their spirits. As they sipped steaming mugs of coffee, the aroma mingled with the fresh, cold air, and the group's laughter echoed across the icy landscape. They were a diverse group. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the passionate archaeologist. Michael, the historian with an insatiable curiosity. Greg, the seasoned geologist. And Sarah, the enthusiastic photographer, documenting every moment. Each of them brought a unique perspective to the expedition, united by a shared passion for exploration and the unknown. With renewed determination, they decided to split into smaller teams, each tasked with a different aspect of exploration. Some would focus on mapping the surrounding area, using GPS devices to record their findings, while others would examine the pyramids more closely, searching for entrances or any signs of the ancient builders. The air was thick with anticipation as they donned their gear, ready to unlock the secrets hidden beneath the ice. As they approached the nearest pyramid, the explorers were struck by its sheer scale. At first glance, it appeared to be a natural formation, a simple mound of snow and ice. But upon closer inspection, sharp edges and symmetrical lines began to emerge, suggesting an unnatural origin. They marveled at the craftsmanship, the precision of angles that seemed too deliberate to be the work of nature alone. Dr. Vasquez led the effort to uncover more about the pyramid's construction. "Look at these patterns," she exclaimed, brushing away layers of snow and ice. "They're unlike anything we've seen before. This could be evidence of an advanced civilization, perhaps one that predates known history. We need to document everything meticulously." Her eyes sparkled with the thrill of discovery, igniting a fire of enthusiasm in her teammates. As they cleared the snow, a series of symbols began to reveal themselves, hieroglyphs etched into the ice, their meanings lost to time. The explorers took photographs and made notes, their minds racing to decipher the significance of these markings. Each symbol seemed to tell a story, whispering secrets of a culture that had once thrived in this inhospitable land. Michael knelt down to examine one particularly intricate carving, tracing its edges with his fingers. These could be a form of communication, a way to record their beliefs or history, he suggested, his voice filled with wonder. Hours passed as they meticulously documented their findings, but as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the ice, a sense of urgency began to set in. They needed to explore further, to discover what lay within the pyramids themselves. Dr. Vasquez proposed an ambitious plan to create a small team dedicated to penetrating the pyramid's interior. "If we can find an entrance, we might uncover artifacts or even records of their existence," she urged, her excitement infectious. With tools in hand, they sought any signs of an entrance. After what felt like an eternity of searching, they discovered a narrow crevice at the base of the pyramid, barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through. The team exchanged glances filled with both excitement and trepidation. This was the moment they had prepared for the chance to step into the unknown. As they crawled through the opening, darkness enveloped them, the air growing colder and denser. They switched on their headlamps, illuminating the stone walls that surrounded them. The interior of the pyramid was a stark contrast to the icy exterior. It was smooth and polished, adorned with intricate carvings that depicted scenes of daily life, celestial events, and figures that seemed to dance across the walls. The explorers felt an overwhelming sense of awe as they moved deeper into the structure. "This is incredible," whispered Michael, his voice barely above a breath. These images might provide clues about their beliefs and their way of life. They moved deeper into the pyramid, their footsteps echoing in the silence. reverberating off the ancient walls as they uncovered chamber after chamber, each more astonishing than the last. It was as if they had stepped back in time, entering a world that had long been forgotten. In one room, they found remnants of what appeared to be ceremonial artifacts, tools, pottery, and even small statues that hinted at rituals performed by the ancient inhabitants. Dr. Vasquez carefully examined a small figurine that bore a striking resemblance to a deity, its features worn but still recognizable. This could represent their understanding of the universe, their connection to the divine. "We must document everything," she urged, her excitement palpable. As they continued their exploration, they stumbled upon a vast chamber that took their breath away. At the center stood a massive stone altar, its surface engraved with the same symbols they had seen outside. The atmosphere felt charged, almost electric, as if the very air around them was alive with the echoes of the past. It was a place of worship, a site where the ancients had gathered to seek guidance from their gods. But just as they were about to celebrate their groundbreaking discovery, a low rumble echoed through the chamber, sending a shiver down their spines. The ground beneath them trembled, and dust began to fall from the ceiling. Panic set in as they exchanged worried glances. "We need to get out of here!" shouted Elena, urgency lacing her voice. Racing against time, they retraced their steps through the narrow crevice, hearts pounding with fear and adrenaline. The tremors intensified, and the once stable walls began to crack as they emerged into the open air. They barely made it out before a loud crash echoed behind them, and a cloud of snow and ice erupted from the pyramid, sending a chill of dread through their hearts. Gasping for breath, they collapsed in the snow, adrenaline coursing through their veins. The pyramid had shifted, revealing the fragility of the ancient structures. "We can't let this stop us," Michael said, his determination unyielding. "We have to return and uncover more. This is just the beginning." The group nodded in agreement, their resolve strengthened by the close call. As they regrouped, they realized that their discoveries had only scratched the surface. The pyramids held secrets waiting to be uncovered, and they would stop at nothing to reveal the truth. With a renewed sense of purpose, the team prepared for the challenges that lay ahead, ready to delve deeper into the mysteries of the frozen continent. As they looked back at the imposing silhouette of the pyramid against the twilight sky, they knew that their journey was far from over. The echoes of the past were calling them, urging them to continue their quest for knowledge, to unravel the threads of history woven into the very fabric of Antarctica. They had awoken something ancient, and with every step forward, they felt the weight of responsibility to honor those who had come before them. The team gathered around a small fire that evening, sharing their thoughts and fears. As the flames flickered and danced, they discussed their next steps. "We need to conduct more thorough surveys of the site," Greg suggested. "There might be other entrances, other chambers waiting to be discovered." The others nodded in agreement, their minds racing with possibilities. Elena felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. "We must proceed with caution. Whatever civilization built these pyramids clearly had a purpose, and we need to respect that. There may be forces at play here that we don't fully understand." Her words hung in the air, a reminder of the delicate balance between discovery and desecration. As night fell, the temperature plummeted, and the team set up camp near the base of the pyramids, their breaths visible in the frigid air. The stars twinkled overhead, a breathtaking display against the inky sky, yet their beauty did little to alleviate the creeping sense of unease. With the pyramids looming in the distance, a sense of foreboding settled over the camp. They gathered close around the fire, sharing stories and laughter, but the weight of their discoveries loomed heavy in their minds. With the fire crackling and the wind howling outside their small circle of light, they began to realize that they were not just explorers. They were custodians of a legacy that had been buried for millennia. The ancient civilization that had once thrived in this desolate land was now their responsibility. But little did they know, the journey ahead would reveal truths that many would prefer to keep buried, and the fight for knowledge would test their very limits. As they prepared to retire for the night, dreams of ancient civilizations and forgotten histories danced in their minds, setting the stage for the adventure that lay ahead. The dawn of a new day broke over the icy horizon, casting a pale light upon the pyramids that loomed like giants from a forgotten age. The explorers awoke to the haunting beauty of the Antarctic landscape, the sun glinting off the crystalline ice, transforming the world into a dazzling spectacle of white and blue. Yet, as they gathered for breakfast, a palpable tension hung in the air. a mix of excitement and apprehension about what lay ahead. The previous day's discoveries had stirred their imaginations and ignited a thirst for knowledge that could not be quenched. After a hearty meal of freeze-dried rations and hot coffee, the team convened to discuss their strategy. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the passionate archaeologist, proposed a thorough exploration of the pyramid's exterior, seeking additional entrances or hidden chambers. "We need to understand the full extent of what we're dealing with," she stated firmly, her eyes scanning the faces of her teammates, who nodded in agreement. "If we can uncover more about the structure, it might give us insight into the civilization that built it. Each layer of ice and snow is a chapter in their history." With a renewed sense of purpose, they set out toward the largest pyramid, equipped with tools, notebooks, and cameras. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation, the air crackling with the promise of discovery. As they approached the colossal structure, the explorers were struck once more by its grandeur. The icy facade glimmered in the sunlight, revealing more intricate carvings and symbols that seemed to tell stories of gods, nature, and ancient rituals. Elena led the charge, her breath visible in the frigid air as she brushed away layers of snow, meticulously recording every detail. "Look at these patterns," she exclaimed, her fingers tracing the lines that spiraled across the surface. "They're unlike anything we've seen before. This could be evidence of an advanced civilization, perhaps one that predates known history. We need to document everything meticulously to ensure we capture the full story of this place." As they worked, Sarah, the enthusiastic photographer, captured the beauty of the moment, framing the explorers against the stunning backdrop of the pyramids. "This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity," she said, her camera clicking rhythmically. "We're not just documenting the pyramids, we're capturing the spirit of discovery. Each photograph tells a story of its own." She felt a surge of inspiration, knowing that her images might one day convey the significance of their mission to the world. Suddenly, Greg, the geologist, called out from a few paces away, "Guys, come, look at this." He had uncovered a series of strange markings along a rock face that bordered the base of the pyramid. The patterns were unlike any they had seen before, sharp lines that intersected and flowed like water, forming a map of sorts. "This could be a key to understanding the layout of the pyramids," he suggested, excitement bubbling in his voice. "If we can decipher this, we might uncover connections to other structures in the area." The team gathered around, their curiosity piqued. "It looks like it could lead to other structures or chambers," Michael added, his historian's instincts kicking in. "We need to follow this lead. It may reveal how these pyramids are connected to one another in a larger network." The prospect of uncovering a hidden world beneath the ice sent a thrill of excitement through the group. With a shared sense of adventure, they decided to follow the markings. The path led them through a snow-covered valley where the wind howled like a distant chorus, whipping around them with an icy bite. As they trekked deeper into the landscape, the air grew colder, and the sense of isolation intensified. The vast white expanse stretched endlessly before them, punctuated only by the towering pyramids behind them, now dwarfed by the sheer scale of the surrounding wilderness. Hours passed as they navigated the treacherous terrain, but the markings became increasingly faint, almost as if the earth itself was trying to hide its secrets. Just as they were about to lose hope, they stumbled upon a hidden entrance partially obscured by snowdrifts. The opening was small but unmistakable, leading into the heart of the mountain, beckoning them like a siren's call. "Should we go in?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The darkness beyond the entrance seemed to swallow the light, creating a stark contrast to the bright exterior. A mix of excitement and trepidation coursed through the group. The unknown loomed ahead, a tantalizing promise of discovery mingled with the threat of danger. Dr. Vasquez glanced at her team, gauging their reactions. "We came here for answers," she declared, her voice steady and resolute. "This may be our best chance. Whatever lies within these walls could redefine our understanding of this civilization." The group exchanged determined nods, and with flashlights in hand, they ventured into the unknown, their hearts pounding in unison. As they stepped through the entrance, darkness enveloped them, the temperature dropping sharply, and an eerie silence settled around them. The walls of the tunnel were lined with the same intricate carvings they had seen on the exterior, but here they seemed to pulse with life, as if the very stones were alive with ancient energy, whispering secrets long forgotten. The explorers felt an overwhelming sense of awe as they moved deeper into the structure, the air thick with the weight of history. "This is incredible," whispered Michael, his voice barely above a breath. These images might provide clues about their beliefs and their way of life. They moved cautiously from chamber to chamber, their footsteps echoing in the silence, reverberating off the ancient walls. It was as if they had stepped back in time, entering a world that had long been forgotten, a world that was now theirs to uncover. In one room, they found remnants of what appeared to be ceremonial artifacts, tools, pottery, and even small statues that hinted at rituals performed by the ancient inhabitants. Dr. Vasquez carefully examined a small figurine that bore a striking resemblance to a deity, its features worn but still recognizable. This could represent their understanding of the universe, their connection to the divine, she mused, her excitement palpable. "We must document everything. These artifacts are a window into their lives." As they continued their exploration, they stumbled upon a vast chamber that took their breath away. At the center stood a massive stone altar, its surface engraved with the same symbols they had seen outside. The atmosphere felt charged, almost electric, as if the very air around them was alive with the echoes of the past. It was a place of worship, a site where the ancients had gathered to seek guidance from their gods. But just as they were about to celebrate their groundbreaking discovery, a low rumble echoed through the chamber, sending a shiver down their spines. The ground beneath them trembled, and dust began to fall from the ceiling. Panic set in as they exchanged worried glances, their minds racing with the implications of the tremors. "We need to get out of here," shouted Elena, urgency lacing her voice as she instinctively took a step back. Racing against time, they retraced their steps through the narrow crevice, hearts pounding with fear and adrenaline. The tremors intensified, and the once stable walls began to crack as they emerged into the open air. They barely made it out before a loud crash echoed behind them, and a cloud of snow and ice erupted from the entrance, sending a chill of dread through their hearts. The world outside felt eerily quiet, the silence punctuated only by the sound of their heavy breathing. Gasping for breath, they collapsed in the snow, adrenaline coursing through their veins. The pyramid had shifted, revealing the fragility of the ancient structures. "We can't let this stop us," Michael said, his determination unyielding, his voice steady despite the chaos that had just unfolded. "We have to return and uncover more. This is just the beginning." The group nodded in agreement, their resolve strengthened by the close call. They had come too far to turn back now. As they regrouped, they realized that their discoveries had only scratched the surface. The pyramids held secrets waiting to be uncovered, and they would stop at nothing to reveal the truth hidden beneath layers of ice and snow. With a renewed sense of purpose, the team prepared for the challenges that lay ahead, ready to delve deeper into the mysteries of the frozen continent. As they looked back at the imposing silhouette of the pyramid against the twilight sky, they knew that their journey was far from over. The echoes of the past were calling them, urging them to continue their quest for knowledge, to unravel the threads of history woven into the very fabric of Antarctica. They had awoken something ancient, and with every step forward, they felt the weight of responsibility to honor those who had come before them. The team gathered around a small fire that evening, sharing their thoughts and fears. As the flames flickered and danced, casting shadows on their determined faces, they discussed their next steps. "We need to conduct more thorough surveys of the site," Greg suggested, his voice steady and thoughtful. "There might be other entrances, other chambers, waiting to be discovered." The others nodded. In agreement, their minds racing with possibilities and anticipation of what lay ahead. Elena felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. "We must proceed with caution," she said, her tone serious. "Whatever civilization built these pyramids clearly had a purpose, and we need to respect that. There may be forces at play here that we don't fully understand." Her words hung in the air, a reminder of the delicate balance between discovery and desecration. As night fell, the temperature plummeted, and the team set up camp near the base of the pyramids, their breaths visible in the frigid air, each exhale a small cloud dissipating in the cold. The stars twinkled overhead, a breathtaking display against the inky sky, yet their beauty did little to alleviate the creeping sense of unease. With the pyramids looming in the distance, a sense of foreboding settled over the camp. They gathered close around the fire, sharing stories and laughter, but the weight of their discoveries loomed, heavy in their minds. With the fire crackling and the wind howling outside their small circle of light, They began to realize that they were not just explorers, they were custodians of a legacy that had been buried for millennia. The ancient civilization that had once thrived in this desolate land was now their responsibility. But little did they know, the journey ahead would reveal truths that many would prefer to keep buried, and the fight for knowledge would test their very limits. As they prepared to retire for the night, dreams of ancient civilizations and forgotten histories danced in their minds, setting the stage for the adventure that lay ahead. They were on the brink of a revelation, and with each passing moment, the mysteries of the pyramids beckoned them closer, eager to share their secrets and unveil the truths of the past. The sun rose slowly over the Antarctic horizon, casting long, ghostly shadows across the snow-covered landscape. The explorers emerged from their tents, bleary-eyed but invigorated by the promise of a new day. As they gathered for breakfast, the excitement from the previous day's discoveries still lingered in the air, mingling with the crisp, cold breeze. They were on the precipice of something extraordinary, and the weight of the ancient secrets around them pressed heavily upon their hearts and minds. After a quick meal of freeze-dried rations and steaming cups of coffee, the team convened to strategize their next steps. Dr. Elena Vasquez laid out a series of plans, her enthusiasm palpable. Today, we'll return to the pyramid and focus on documenting the artifacts we discovered in the altar chamber. We need to understand their significance and context, she proposed, her eyes sparkling with determination. Let's also set up a grid to map out the internal chambers systematically. We must know how this structure relates to everything we've seen and studied. Michael, the historian, nodded in agreement, his mind racing with possibilities. And we should analyze the hieroglyphs more closely. If we can translate even a portion of them, it could provide invaluable insights into their culture and beliefs. Each symbol could be a piece of a larger puzzle we have yet to comprehend. He felt a surge of purpose. This was more than just an expedition. It was a chance to rewrite history itself, to shed light on a civilization that had long been shrouded in mystery. As the team gathered their gear, Sarah took a moment to capture the breathtaking beauty of the sunrise. Her camera clicking softly, the golden light reflecting off the ice created a mesmerizing spectacle, a stark contrast to the dark secrets they were about to delve into. Every picture tells a story, she mused, her gaze lingering on the pyramids, and we're about to uncover one of the greatest. Her heart raced with the thrill of anticipation, knowing that her images might one day convey the significance of their mission to the world. With their hearts racing and their spirits high, they set off toward the pyramid, the snow crunching beneath their boots. The path seemed familiar yet charged with a new intensity, as if the very air around them was alive with anticipation. Upon reaching the entrance, they paused, taking a moment to absorb the monumental structure before them, its icy surface glistening, the carvings seemingly watching them as they approached, urging them to uncover their hidden truths. Once inside, they were enveloped by the cool darkness, the silence punctuated only by the sound of their breath and the faint rustling of their gear. The flickering beams of their flashlights danced across the walls, bringing to life the intricate designs that adorned the stone. Elena led the way, her excitement palpable as she moved toward the altar chamber they had discovered the previous day. Upon entering the chamber, they were immediately struck by the sight of the altar. The massive stone structure still dominated the space. Its surface, a canvas of symbols and engravings that seemed to pulse with energy. "We need to document everything methodically," Elena instructed, pulling out her notebook. "Let's photograph and catalogue each artifact we find. Every detail matters." As they began their work, Michael focused on the hieroglyphs, running his fingers over the carvings as he attempted to decipher their meanings. These markings may represent significant events, possibly even a timeline of their history, he speculated, jotting down notes while trying to connect the dots between the symbols. If we can piece together their story, we might understand their beliefs, their culture, and why they chose to build such monumental structures in this desolate place. His mind raced with the implications of their findings. Each symbol was a thread in a tapestry that wove together the past and present. The team worked diligently, cataloguing artifacts, documenting the intricate carvings, and discussing their findings with fervor. As they unearthed pottery shards and small tools, they began to form a picture of the civilization that once thrived here. Each item told a story of daily life, of rituals, and of the connection these people had with the land and the cosmos. The atmosphere grew charged with excitement as they unearthed more pieces of the puzzle. However, as the hours passed, An unsettling feeling began to creep into the air. The atmosphere grew thick, with an unshakable tension, as if the very walls were whispering secrets that were not meant to be heard. Sarah, feeling a chill that wasn't just from the cold, glanced over her shoulder, half expecting to see shadows lurking in the corners of her vision. "I can't shake the feeling that we're not alone," she murmured, her voice a mixture of fear and curiosity. Elena paused, her intuition echoing Sarah's unease. "Let's stay focused and be cautious," she advised, though she too felt a shiver of apprehension. "Whatever this place holds, it's important we respect its sanctity. We need to remember we're intruders in a space that was once sacred to its inhabitants." Her words resonated with the team, a reminder of their duty as explorers and guardians of history. As they continued their work, they stumbled upon a narrow passage that led deeper into the pyramid. The air grew colder still, and the feeling of being watched intensified. "Should we check it out?" Greg asked, glancing at the others. "It might lead us to more chambers or artifacts, perhaps even more answers." His curiosity was palpable, and the allure of the unknown was difficult to resist. Michael considered the risk, the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. "We've come this far. We need to know what's down there. Just be careful." With a shared sense of trepidation, they agreed to explore the passage, their flashlights illuminating the path ahead with beams of light that cut through the darkness. The narrow tunnel wound deeper into the pyramid, the walls closing in around them as they descended. The air grew thick with dust, and the silence was almost deafening, broken only by the sound of their footsteps echoing through the tight space. As they reached the bottom, the passage opened into a vast chamber, larger than any they had encountered thus far. The chamber was dimly lit by their flashlights, revealing towering stone pillars intricately carved with the same hieroglyphs they had seen earlier. In the center stood a massive statue, its features worn but still imposing a guardian of sorts, watching over the secrets of the pyramid. "This is incredible," Elena breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's like we've stepped into a sacred space that has been untouched for centuries." As they approached the statue, a sudden tremor shook the ground, sending a ripple of fear through the team. "What was that?" Sarah exclaimed, her heart racing. The tremor subsided, leaving an eerie stillness in its wake. They exchanged worried glances, the weight of the moment heavy upon them. "We need to be careful," Greg cautioned, his eyes scanning the chamber for any signs of instability. "We don't know what might trigger another quake." Just then, a low rumble echoed from the depths of the pyramid, sending a shockwave of panic through the group. The earth seemed alive, a reminder of the forces they were contending with. "Let's get out of here," Michael urged, his eyes wide with fear. They turned to flee, but as they made their way back toward the passage, the ground shook violently, and dust and debris began to fall from the ceiling. The walls seemed to close in around them, and the air grew thick with dust. In a moment of sheer instinct, they sprinted back down the passage, their hearts pounding in their chests. The tremors intensified, and rocks began to tumble around them. They could hear the sound of stone grinding against stone, a cacophony that echoed through the narrow tunnel. Just as they reached the entrance of the chamber, there was a deafening crash, and the tunnel collapsed behind them, sealing off the path they had taken. Gasping for breath, they staggered into the main chamber, their hearts racing. The altar still stood firm, but the atmosphere had shifted. The once sacred space now felt like a battleground, a place where ancient forces clashed against the present. "What just happened?" Elena asked, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and exhilaration. "Did we awaken something?" Michael looked around, his expression grave. "It's possible. Whatever this place is, it holds power, ancient power. We need to be mindful of that." He felt a sense of dread wash over him, but also a thrilling sense of purpose. They were at the threshold of something monumental, and they needed to tread carefully. As they regrouped, they realized that their discoveries had only scratched the surface. The pyramids held secrets waiting to be uncovered, and they would stop at nothing to reveal the truth hidden beneath layers of ice and snow. With a renewed sense of determination, they prepared for the next leg of their journey, ready to delve deeper into the mysteries of the frozen continent. As they looked back at the imposing silhouette of the pyramids against the twilight sky, they knew that their journey was far from over. The echoes of the past were calling them, urging them to continue their quest for knowledge, to unravel the threads of history woven into the very fabric of Antarctica. They had awoken something ancient, and with every step forward, They felt the weight of responsibility to honor those who had come before them. The team gathered around a small fire that evening, sharing their thoughts and fears. As the flames flickered and danced, casting shadows on the walls of the chamber, they discussed their next steps. "We need to conduct more thorough surveys of the site," Greg suggested, his voice steady and thoughtful. "There might be other entrances, other chambers waiting to be discovered." The others nodded in agreement, their minds racing with possibilities and anticipation of what lay ahead. Elena felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. "We must proceed with caution," she said, her tone serious. "Whatever civilization built these pyramids clearly had a purpose, and we need to respect that. There may be forces at play here that we don't fully understand." Her words hung in the air, a reminder of the delicate balance between discovery and desecration. As night fell, the temperature plummeted, and the team set up camp near the base of the pyramids, their breaths visible in the frigid air, each exhale a small cloud dissipating in the cold. The stars twinkled overhead, a breathtaking display against the inky sky, yet their beauty did little to alleviate the creeping sense of unease. With the pyramids looming in the distance, a sense of foreboding settled over the camp. They gathered close around the fire, sharing stories and laughter, but the weight of their discoveries loomed heavy in their minds. With the fire crackling and the wind howling outside their small circle of light, they began to realize that they were not just explorers. They were custodians of a legacy that had been buried for millennia. The ancient civilization that had once thrived in this desolate land was now their responsibility, and the stakes had never felt higher. But little did they know, the journey ahead would reveal truths that many would prefer to keep buried, and the fight for knowledge would test their very limits. As they prepared to retire for the night, dreams of ancient civilizations and forgotten histories danced in their minds, setting the stage for the adventure that lay ahead. They were on the brink of a revelation, and with each passing moment, the mysteries of the pyramids beckoned them closer, eager to share their secrets and unveil the truths of the past. The morning sun bathed the Antarctic landscape in a soft, ethereal glow, illuminating the white expanse that stretched infinitely in every direction. The team, still invigorated from their discoveries the previous day, prepared for another day of exploration and inquiry. As they gathered around the now familiar fire, the warmth of the flames was a stark contrast to the biting cold that permeated the air. Each member of the team carried a palpable sense of anticipation about what they might uncover today. Dr. Elena Vasquez took a moment to survey her team, her heart swelling with pride at their resilience and determination. "Today we delve deeper into the mysteries of this place," she announced, her voice echoing against the icy backdrop. "We'll return to the altar chamber and begin cataloguing the artifacts we found there. Each piece could hold vital clues to understanding the civilization that once thrived here." Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and she could see her enthusiasm reflected in her teammates' faces. Michael, the historian, nodded eagerly. "And the hieroglyphs? We must focus on translating them. Understanding their language will help unlock the secrets of their culture and beliefs. I believe we're close to piecing together their story." He felt an electric thrill rush through him at the thought of revealing the narratives hidden within the ancient inscriptions. Sarah, always the observant photographer, chimed in. "I'll document everything, every detail, every artifact, every moment. These images will help us tell the story of our journey and these remarkable discoveries. We must capture the essence of this site." The thought of immortalizing their findings in photographs fueled her passion, and she could hardly wait to return to the chamber. With their goals set, the team gathered their gear and set off toward the pyramid, the snow crunching beneath their boots. Each step felt heavier than the last as they approached the entrance, their hearts racing with anticipation. The massive structure loomed ahead, a silent sentinel guarding the secrets of the past. Once inside, the familiar coolness enveloped them, and the silence was almost deafening. The flickering beams of their flashlights danced across the walls, bringing to life the intricate designs that adorned the stone. Elena led the way, her heart pounding with excitement and trepidation as they returned to the altar chamber. Upon entering, they were once again awestruck by the sight of the altar, its surface a tapestry of symbols and engravings that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. "Let's get to work," Elena urged, her voice a blend of authority and enthusiasm. "We need to carefully document each artifact and decipher the hieroglyphs." As they began their work, Michael focused intently on the hieroglyphs, running his fingers over the carvings as he tried to decipher their meanings. These markings may represent significant events, possibly even a timeline of their history, he speculated, jotting down notes while trying to connect the dots between the symbols. If we can piece together their story, we might understand their beliefs, their culture, and why they chose to build such monumental structures in this desolate place. Elena knelt beside him, her eyes scanning the engravings. "Look at this one!" She pointed to a symbol that resembled a sun encircled by stars. It might represent their cosmology, their understanding of the universe. They could have viewed the sun as a deity, a central figure in their belief system. The implications of her words hung heavy in the air, filling the room with a sense of awe. Meanwhile, Sarah moved around the chamber, capturing every angle with her camera. She felt the weight of history pressing down upon her, and each click of the shutter felt like a small victory. "These artifacts are tangible connections to the past," she said softly, her voice reverent, as she photographed a beautifully crafted pottery shard. "We're not just uncovering history, we're breathing life into it." Hours passed as they diligently worked, cataloguing artifacts and documenting the intricate carvings. The chamber became a whirlwind of activity, filled with discussions and excited exclamations as new discoveries were made. Each piece they uncovered added a layer to the narrative they were slowly piecing together. Yet, as the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the chamber, the atmosphere shifted once again. An unsettling feeling crept in, a sense that they were being watched, or perhaps that they were encroaching upon something sacred. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine, her instincts warning her to be cautious. "Does anyone else feel that?" she asked, glancing around at her teammates. Elena paused, her expression serious. "Yes, I do. We need to remain respectful of this space. Whatever happened here in the past, it's clear that this site holds immense significance." She felt a deep responsibility to honor the legacy of those who had come before them, a sentiment echoed in the expressions of her teammates. In an effort to focus on their work, they turned their attention back to the altar, where Michael had begun to unravel the meaning behind some of the hieroglyphs. "I think I've made a connection," he said, his voice laced with excitement. "This symbol here appears to correspond with a series of events, possibly a calendar or a record of significant celestial occurrences. They may have celebrated these events with rituals that honored their gods." Elena leaned closer, intrigued. That could explain the presence of the altar. It might have been a site for important ceremonies, perhaps related to agricultural cycles or astronomical events. The implications of their findings were thrilling, and they felt as though they were on the brink of a major breakthrough. As they continued their work, a faint sound echoed through the chamber, barely perceptible at first. It was a low, rumbling noise, like the distant growl of thunder. The team paused, exchanging worried glances. "What was that?" Greg whispered, his brow furrowed in concern. "I don't know," Elena replied, her voice steady despite the unease creeping in. "But we should investigate. Let's stay alert." They moved cautiously toward the source of the sound, their flashlights cutting through the darkness like blades. As they approached a wall at the far end of the chamber, the rumbling grew louder, vibrating beneath their feet. The team exchanged apprehensive glances, their hearts racing with both fear and curiosity. What lay beyond the wall? What secrets had been hidden for centuries? Elena stepped forward, her determination unshaken. This could be another chamber or passage. If we can find a way through, we might uncover more artifacts, or even the answers we seek. With a shared sense of purpose, they began to examine the wall closely, searching for any signs of a hidden door or mechanism. After several tense moments, Greg noticed something unusual in the carvings. "Look here!" he exclaimed, pointing to a series of symbols that appeared to be a sequence of notches. "This may be a mechanism, something that unlocks a passage." His excitement was contagious, and the group crowded around to examine the markings. Elena carefully traced the pattern with her fingers. "If we push these specific spots in order, it might trigger a mechanism. We need to work together." The team positioned themselves, each member ready to follow her lead. With a deep breath, Elena pressed the first symbol, followed by the others in quick succession. At first, nothing happened. Then, with a low grinding noise, the wall began to shift, revealing a narrow opening that led into darkness. The rumbling sound intensified, echoing through the chamber as dust fell from the ceiling. The opening widened, revealing a passage that seemed to beckon them forward. "Should we go in?" Sarah asked, her voice a mix of excitement and trepidation. The darkness beyond felt both inviting and ominous, a threshold into the unknown. Elena glanced back at her team, her heart racing. "We've come this far. We need to see what lies beyond. But let's stay alert." The team nodded in agreement, their determination rekindled by the prospect of new discoveries. With flashlights in hand, they stepped cautiously into the passage, their hearts pounding in unison. The air grew colder as they moved deeper into the darkness, the sound of their footsteps echoing ominously against the stone walls. Each step felt like a step back in time, as if they were traversing the very fabric of history itself. As they progressed, the passage widened into another chamber, larger and more elaborate than the last. The walls were adorned with intricate murals depicting celestial events, gods, and scenes of daily life from the ancient civilization. The colours were surprisingly vivid, preserved by the cold temperatures that had kept the chamber sealed for centuries. "Look at this," Michael exclaimed, his voice filled with awe as he pointed to a mural that depicted a solar eclipse. "This may represent their understanding of astronomy. They could have used these events to guide their agricultural practices or ritualistic ceremonies." Elena stepped closer, tracing the outlines of the figures with her fingers. "This is remarkable. If we can decipher these images, it might provide further insight into their beliefs and how they interacted with the natural world." She felt a surge of excitement, knowing they were on the brink of uncovering something monumental. As they explored the chamber, a sense of reverence filled the air. The murals spoke of a civilization that had not only thrived in this harsh environment, but had also developed a deep understanding of the cosmos. It was a reminder that even in the most desolate places, life had found a way to flourish. But as they continued to document their findings, the low rumble they had heard earlier returned, now accompanied by a faint vibration that pulsed through the ground. The explorers exchanged anxious glances, the weight of the moment settling heavily upon them. "I'm not sure," Elena replied, her brow furrowed in concern. "But we need to stay alert. Whatever is causing this could be significant." She felt the air grow thick with tension, as if the very walls of the chamber were alive with energy. Suddenly, a crack echoed through the chamber, and a section of the wall began to shift, revealing another hidden passage. The explorers stood frozen for a moment, their hearts racing with anticipation. What lay beyond this new opening? Were they about to uncover the heart of the ancient civilization they had been seeking? "Let's check it out," Michael urged, his voice steady despite the fear coursing through him. "We have to see what's on the other side." The others nodded, their determination rekindled by the promise of discovery. With flashlights illuminating the path ahead, they stepped cautiously into the newly revealed passage. As they moved deeper into the darkness, the air grew colder still, and the sense of being watched intensified. Every instinct told them they were crossing a threshold into a realm of the unknown, where the shadows of the past awaited. As they ventured further, they could hear the distant sound of water dripping, echoing through the narrow confines of the tunnel. The atmosphere was thick with mystery, and an electric tension hung in the air. The explorers pressed on, their hearts pounding with both excitement and fear, knowing that the answers they sought lay just beyond their reach. The air was thick with tension as the team sprinted through the narrow passage, their hearts pounding in unison with the echoes of the collapsing chamber behind them. Dust swirled in the dim light from their flashlights, creating an almost surreal atmosphere that enveloped them as they navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the ancient pyramid. The ground shook beneath their feet, a reminder of the powerful forces at work, and the urgency of their escape pressed upon them like the weight of the ages. "Keep moving," Elena shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. She could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, propelling her forward. Each step felt like a race against time, and she pushed herself to the limit, determined to lead her team to safety. The flickering glow from the artifact had left an indelible mark on her mind, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of uncovering something monumental. As they reached the intersection of the passage, Michael glanced back, fear etched across his face. "We need to find a way out. The vibrations are getting stronger." His words ignited a surge of urgency within the group. They couldn't afford to be trapped in this ancient tomb, surrounded by its secrets and shadows. "Let's check this way," Sarah shouted, gesturing toward a narrower passage that branched off to their right. The walls were adorned with more carvings, the hieroglyphs glowing faintly in the low light, as if they were urging the team to explore further. There might be another exit. Without hesitation, they darted into the side passage, the air growing colder as they moved deeper into the pyramid. The walls seemed to close in around them, the weight of history bearing down on their shoulders. Each breath felt laboured, and the sense of claustrophobia heightened their anxiety. They knew they were not just running from the physical dangers of the collapsing structure, but also from the echoes of the past that lingered within these ancient walls. As they navigated the tunnel, Elena couldn't help but glance at the carvings. The artwork depicted scenes of celestial alignments and rituals that resonated with her, each symbol a reminder of the civilization that had once thrived here. "This is incredible," she murmured, her fingers brushing against the wall. "These carvings tell a story of their beliefs, their connection to the stars." "Focus, Elena," Michael urged, his tone a mix of concern and excitement. "We need to keep moving. We can study the carvings later, after we're safe." His voice reminded her of the urgency of their situation, and she pushed aside her curiosity, channeling her energy into finding a way out. Just then, the wall to their left began to tremble, and a deep rumble echoed through the passage. "Hurry!" Greg shouted, a note of panic creeping into his voice. The vibrations were growing stronger, and the team quickened their pace. They could feel the heat of urgency radiating through their bodies, propelling them forward. As they rounded a corner, the passage opened into a larger chamber, and they skidded to a halt, eyes wide in disbelief. The room was filled with artifacts, jewelry, pottery, and tools arranged meticulously, as if waiting for their discoverers. Glimmering under the light of their flashlights, the objects told stories of a rich culture lost to time. "Look at this!" Sarah exclaimed, moving toward a collection of beautifully crafted vases, their surfaces intricately painted with vibrant colors. "These are stunning." She reached out to touch one, her fingers grazing the cool ceramic. "We need to document this." Elena shook her head, her instincts telling her to remain cautious. "We can't get distracted. We need to find a way out first." Yet, a part of her was torn. The discoveries were tantalizing, a treasure trove of history that begged to be explored. Suddenly, a deafening crash reverberated through the chamber, causing dust to rain down from the ceiling. The ground shook violently beneath their feet, and the team instinctively huddled together, their hearts racing as they braced for what might come next. Elena shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "There's no time! Over here!" Greg pointed toward a stone archway at the far end of the chamber, partially obscured by debris. "That looks like it leads outside." Without waiting for a response, he sprinted toward the archway, the others quickly following his lead. As they approached, the archway loomed larger, its ancient stones etched with the same intricate hieroglyphs they had seen throughout the pyramid. The air felt charged with energy, and Elena could sense the weight of history pressing against her as they passed through the threshold. Each step felt like a journey through time, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were crossing a boundary into something sacred. Emerging from the archway, they found themselves in a narrow tunnel bathed in dim light. "This way," Michael urged, pointing to a faint glow at the end of the passage. The team pressed on, their instincts driving them forward, fueled by the hope of escape. As they reached the end of the tunnel, they burst into another chamber, this one filled with sunlight streaming through a large opening in the ceiling. The light illuminated the room, revealing more artifacts scattered across the floor, a treasure of the past waiting to be rediscovered. "Wow," Sarah breathed, her eyes wide with wonder as she took in the sight. "This place is incredible." She stepped forward, her camera poised to capture the moment, but Elena quickly grabbed her arm, urgency etched on her face. "We can't stop now," Elena insisted, her heart pounding. "We need to keep moving before the entire structure collapses." The thrill of discovery warred with the instinct for survival, and she felt the weight of responsibility for her team pressing down on her. As they moved through the chamber, the tremors continued, the vibrations growing stronger with each passing moment. "It's like the pyramid is alive," Greg said, his voice filled with awe and fear. "It's as if it's trying to warn us." Elena nodded, her mind racing. "We need to be careful. Whatever is happening, it's clear that this place holds more than just artifacts. It's a living testament to the civilization that once thrived here." Her determination intensified. They were not just running for their lives, they were racing against time to uncover the truths woven into the very fabric of this ancient site. As they approached another archway, The ground shook violently, and debris rained down around them. "Run!" Elena shouted, her voice filled with urgency. They sprinted through the archway, the light ahead promising safety and escape. The sound of crumbling stone echoed behind them, urging them to move faster. Emerging into the open air, they stumbled out onto a snow-covered ledge, their breaths visible in the frigid air. The sunlight was blinding after the darkness of the pyramid, and they shielded their eyes as they took in their surroundings. They stood at the edge of a vast expanse, the icy landscape stretching out before them, the pyramids towering majestically in the distance. As they caught their breath, the enormity of their experience washed over them. "We made it!" Michael gasped, relief flooding his voice. "We're alive!" The adrenaline that had propelled them forward began to fade, replaced by a profound sense of gratitude for their safety. Elena looked back at the pyramid, its imposing structure standing strong against the backdrop of the icy landscape. "But what about everything we discovered?" she murmured, a mix of awe and regret in her voice. "We can't just leave it behind." The weight of their discoveries hung heavily in Den, the air, a reminder of the ancient civilization that had once called this desolate place home. "We'll find a way to come back," Greg assured her, his voice steady. "This isn't over. We've only scratched the surface of what this place holds." The determination in his words resonated with the others, igniting a spark of hope for future explorations. As they stood together, gazing back at the pyramid, they realized that the echoes of the past would continue to linger in their minds, guiding their journey. They were now part of the story, intertwined with the history of the civilization that had once thrived in this harsh land. The mysteries of the pyramid awaited their return, promising further revelations and challenges that would test their resolve. With a newfound sense of purpose, the team began their descent from the ledge, their minds racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. They had ventured into the heart of a forgotten world, and though they had emerged from the Decca, shadows of the pyramid, the echoes of the past would forever resonate within them. As they trekked back across the snow, their hearts were filled with a blend of excitement and anticipation for the next chapter of their journey. They knew that the secrets of the pyramid had not been fully revealed, and they were determined to return, ready to uncover the truths hidden beneath layers of ice and time. As they reached their camp, the familiar sight of their tents brought a wave of relief. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm glow over the icy landscape, and the team gathered around the fire, their spirits lifted by their narrow escape. They shared laughter and stories of the day's discoveries, the bond between them strengthening as they reflected on the incredible journey they had undertaken. "Did you see the way the light pulsed from that artifact?" Sarah asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "It was like it was alive, responding to us. I can't wait to analyze the photos I took." She rummaged through her gear, pulling out her camera with a sense of urgency. "This is going to be the story of a lifetime." Michael nodded, his brow furrowed in thought. "And the hieroglyphs, if we can decipher them, we might uncover a wealth of knowledge about their culture. This could change our understanding of history." His excitement was palpable, and the thought of the discoveries yet to come filled him with a sense of purpose. Elena looked at her team, pride swelling in her chest. "We've only just begun. The pyramid holds countless secrets, and we're the ones chosen to uncover them. We need to prepare for our next expedition. We need better equipment, more supplies, and a plan." The fire crackled, casting flickering shadows on their faces, each member reflecting a mix of determination and exhilaration. As night fell, the stars emerged in the vast Antarctic sky, twinkling like diamonds scattered across velvet. The team sat in a comfortable silence, the fire's warmth wrapping around them like a protective blanket. Each star above felt like a beacon, guiding them toward the mysteries that lay ahead. "Tomorrow, let's explore the area around the pyramid more thoroughly," Greg suggested, breaking the silence. "There might be other entrances or hidden chambers we haven't found yet." His excitement was infectious, and the others nodded in agreement, a shared sense of adventure igniting within them. Elena smiled, feeling the camaraderie among her team. "We'll map out the surrounding areas and document everything. This place is a treasure trove just waiting to be explored." The thought of future discoveries filled her with hope and determination. As the fire began to die down, the team gradually retreated to their tents, the chill of the Antarctic night creeping in around them. Elena lay in her sleeping bag, her mind racing with thoughts of the past and the civilization that had once thrived in this harsh land. She could hardly sleep, the excitement of their discoveries swirling in her mind like a whirlwind of possibilities. Visions of the ancient murals and artifacts danced across her thoughts, each one a fragment of a story waiting to be told. She wondered what else lay hidden beneath the snow and ice, what other secrets the pyramid held. The echoes of the past called to her, urging her to return and continue the quest for knowledge. As she finally drifted off to sleep, her dreams were filled with images of the ancient civilization people engaged in rituals, gazing up at the stars, their lives intertwined with the cosmos. The sense of connection to the past was strong, and she felt a deep responsibility to honor their legacy, to ensure that their stories would not be lost to time. With the first light of dawn, the team awoke, invigorated by the promise of a new day. They gathered once more around the fire, the warmth soothing against the chill of the morning air. "Today, we'll uncover more secrets," Elena declared, her voice filled with determination. "Let's make this day count." With their spirits high and their goals set, the team prepared for another adventure into the depths of the ancient pyramid, ready to embrace whatever challenges and discoveries lay ahead. The echoes of the past still resonated within them, guiding their journey as they ventured onward into the uncharted territories of history. As dawn broke over the Antarctic landscape, the team gathered around the fire, the air crisp and invigorating. The sun peeked over the horizon, casting a golden hue across the snow, transforming the bleak surroundings into a scene of breathtaking beauty. Elena felt a renewed sense of purpose wash over her as she sipped her steaming cup of coffee, the warmth spreading through her like a comforting embrace. Today, they would delve deeper into the secrets of the pyramid, and she was determined to uncover more about the civilization that had once thrived in this desolate land. "All right, team," Elena said, her voice steady and filled with enthusiasm. "Today we're going to explore the area surrounding the pyramid. We need to identify any possible entrances or hidden chambers we might have missed during our last expedition." Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and she could see her teammates' anticipation reflected in their expressions. Michael nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration as he flipped through his notes. "I've been thinking about the hieroglyphs we uncovered. If there are additional chambers, they may contain more artifacts that could help us understand their culture and beliefs." His passion for history was infectious, and it stirred a sense of camaraderie within the group. Sarah, ever the eager photographer, chimed in. "I'll document everything we find. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I want to capture every moment." She adjusted her camera strap, her eyes gleaming with enthusiasm, ready to embark on the adventure ahead. Greg, who had been studying the surrounding landscape, pointed toward the pyramid. "There's a section on the north side that looks like it hasn't been explored yet. The snow has shifted, and I can see some stonework peeking out. We should check it out first." His keen observation skills had often led them to new discoveries, and the team trusted his instincts. With their plan in place, the team set off toward the pyramid, excitement bubbling within them. The snow crunched under their boots as they made their way across the vast expanse, the towering structure growing larger with each step. Elena felt a mixture of awe and reverence as they approached the ancient monument, its icy facade hiding untold secrets beneath its surface. As they reached the north side of the pyramid, the team was greeted by an impressive sight. The stonework was more intricate than they had initially noticed, adorned with carvings that seemed to tell a story of their own. "Look at this," Michael exclaimed, kneeling down to examine the engravings. "These symbols depict scenes of agriculture and celestial events. They might have used these to mark important seasons or rituals." Elena joined him, her fingers tracing the outlines of the carvings. "This is amazing. If we can piece together their significance, we might unlock a deeper understanding of their society." Her mind raced with possibilities, imagining the lives of the people who had once thrived in this harsh environment. As they continued to explore, Greg's keen eye caught a glimpse of something unusual. "Over here!" he shouted, excitement lacing his voice. The others quickly gathered around him as he pointed to a large stone slab that appeared slightly ajar. "This doesn't look like it belongs here. It might be a door or a hidden entrance." Elena's heart raced at the prospect of another discovery. "Let's see if we can move it." Together, the team positioned themselves around the slab, their combined strength pushing against the ancient stone. With a deep grunt, they managed to shift it just enough to reveal a dark opening behind it. "Be careful," Elena warned, her voice low as they peered into the darkness. "We don't know what's inside." The unknown always carried a sense of danger, but but it also offered the thrill of discovery. Michael took a deep breath and flicked on his flashlight, casting a beam into the dark void. "I'll go first," he said, stepping cautiously into the opening. The others followed closely behind, their hearts racing with anticipation. The narrow passage led them deeper into the pyramid, the air growing colder as they descended. The walls were adorned with more intricate carvings, shimmering faintly in the light of their flashlights. "This is incredible," Sarah whispered, her voice filled with awe. "It's like we're walking through a time capsule." As they ventured further, the passage opened into a vast chamber, larger than any they had encountered before. The ceiling soared above them, supported by massive stone columns carved with depictions of celestial bodies and mythical creatures. The sight was breathtaking, and the team stood in stunned silence, absorbing the grandeur of their surroundings. "This is amazing," Greg breathed, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's like stepping into another world." The atmosphere was thick with history, and they could almost feel the presence of those who had walked these halls centuries ago. In the center of the chamber stood an altar, similar to the one they had encountered before, but this one was larger and more elaborately decorated. The surface was covered in intricate carvings and a layer of dust, suggesting that it had not been disturbed in ages. "What do you think this was used for?" Sarah asked, her camera at the ready, capturing the beauty of Crete. "The altar." Elena stepped closer, her heart pounding with excitement. This must have been a significant ceremonial site. The carvings tell stories of rituals and sacrifices, perhaps honoring their gods or celebrating celestial events. She felt a sense of reverence for the ancient people who had once gathered here, their lives intertwined with the cosmos. As they explored the chamber, the team discovered more artifacts scattered around the altar: ceramic bowls, intricate jewelry, and tools that hinted at the daily lives of the civilization that had once thrived in this harsh land. Each item was a piece of a puzzle waiting to be solved, and Elena felt a thrill of excitement at the thought of uncovering their stories. "Let's document everything," Michael suggested, pulling out his notebook. "We need to record our findings and take careful notes about each artifact. This could be critical for our understanding of their culture." The seriousness of his tone reminded them of the importance of their work, and they set to work documenting their surroundings. As they meticulously catalogued each item, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more hidden within the chamber. The atmosphere was charged with energy, as if the very stones held secrets waiting to be unlocked. "What do you think lies beyond this chamber?" she mused aloud, glancing around at her teammates. "Could there be another passage or hidden room?" "Let's look for any signs of another entrance," Greg suggested, his curiosity piqued. There might be more to discover. The team spread out, their flashlights illuminating the intricate carvings on the walls, searching for any clues that might lead them to hidden chambers. As they explored, Elena's attention was drawn to a particular section of the wall adorned with celestial symbols. The carvings depicted phases of the moon and constellations, and she felt an inexplicable connection to them. "These symbols are significant," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They might represent a calendar or a guide to the seasons." Michael joined her, his eyes narrowing as he examined the carvings. "If we can decipher these, it could lead us to further understand their agricultural practices and religious beliefs." The excitement in his voice was palpable, and they both felt a surge of determination to unravel the mysteries that lay before them. Just then, Greg called out from across the chamber, "You guys, over here!" The urgency in his voice snapped Elena and Michael out of their reverie. They hurried over to where Greg stood, excitement bubbling within them. "I think I found something," he said, pointing to a section of the wall that appeared to be slightly ajar. With renewed energy, the team gathered around Greg, their hearts racing with anticipation. "Let's see if we can open it," Elena suggested, her voice steady as they positioned themselves to push against the stone. With a collective effort, they heaved against the wall, and to their astonishment, it began to shift, revealing yet another hidden passage. As the entrance widened, a rush of cool air flowed out, carrying with it the faint scent of ancient earth and stone. "What do you think is down there?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide with wonder. The darkness beyond the passage seemed to beckon them forward, promising new discoveries and challenges. Elena felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. "We need to be cautious. We don't know what lies ahead." The thrill of the unknown sent chills down her spine, but she couldn't help but feel drawn to the mysteries that awaited them. With flashlights in hand, they stepped into the newly revealed passage, their hearts pounding in anticipation. The air was thick with anticipation, and as they moved deeper into the darkness, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were crossing a threshold into something significant. The past was alive around them, whispering secrets that had been buried for centuries. As they ventured further, the passage began to widen, and they could hear the faint sound of trickling water echoing in the distance. The atmosphere shifted as they approached the end of the tunnel, the air growing colder and more humid. Finally, they emerged into another expansive chamber, illuminated by a strange, ethereal light. The sight before them took their breath away. The chamber was filled with crystals that glimmered like stars, casting a mesmerizing glow across the walls. Stalactites hung from the ceiling, dripping water that shimmered as it caught the light. In the center of the chamber stood a massive stone altar, intricately carved with symbols that pulsated with an otherworldly energy. "What is this place?" Michael whispered, his voice filled with reverence. The beauty of the chamber was overwhelming, and they felt an electric charge in the air, as if the very essence of the ancient civilization was still alive within these walls. "I don't know," Elena replied, her eyes wide with wonder, "but it feels sacred, like we're standing in a place of immense power." The realization sent a shiver down her spine, and she felt a deep sense of responsibility to honor whatever had taken place in this chamber. As they approached the altar, the energy in the air intensified, and Elena felt a pull toward it, as if it were calling to her. "We need to document everything," she said, her voice steady despite the overwhelming emotions swirling within her. "This could be the most important discovery we've made yet." The team gathered around the altar, their flashlights illuminating the carvings that adorned its surface. Each symbol seemed to tell a story, intertwining the history of the civilization with the cosmic forces they revered. The carvings depicted celestial events, agricultural cycles, and rituals that illustrated their connection to the universe. "This is incredible," Greg said, awe filling his voice. "They must have held ceremonies here, connecting with the cosmos and honoring their deities." The weight of history settled over them, and they realized they were witnessing a sacred space that had been untouched for centuries. As they began to document the altar and its surroundings, the atmosphere shifted once more. The faint sound of water trickling grew louder, and the light in the chamber pulsed rhythmically, almost as if it were alive. Elena exchanged glances with her teammates, a sense of unease creeping in. "Do you feel that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," Michael replied, his expression serious. "It's as if the chamber is responding to us. We need to be careful." The awareness of their intrusion weighed heavily on them, and they felt the need to tread lightly, respecting the sanctity of the space. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet, and the crystals began to vibrate, sending ripples of energy through the air. "What's happening?" Sarah exclaimed, her eyes wide with fear. The walls seemed to pulse with life, and the chamber felt as though it were awakening. "Back away from the altar!" Elena shouted, her instincts kicking in. They retreated cautiously, the vibrations intensifying. The energy in the air crackled, and the light from the crystals grew brighter, illuminating the entire chamber in a dazzling display. As they moved further away, the chamber erupted with a blinding flash of light, and for a brief moment, everything around them was engulfed in brilliance. When the light faded, the team found themselves standing in a vast, open space filled with swirling mist and shimmering stars, as if they had been transported to another realm. "What just happened?" Greg gasped, his voice laced with disbelief. They stood in awe, surrounded by a breathtaking expanse of cosmic beauty, the very fabric of the universe stretching out. Before them, Elena felt a surge of emotion as she took in the sight. "I think we've crossed into another dimension," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder. "This is incredible." The realization of their journey into the unknown filled her with both excitement and fear. As they marveled at the cosmic vista surrounding them, they could feel the connection to the ancient civilization intensifying. The kaleidoscope of colors swirled around the team, each hue more vibrant than the last as they stood mesmerized by the celestial display. The stars shimmered like 1,000 tiny lanterns, casting ethereal light across the swirling mist that enveloped them. Elena felt her heart race as she took in the sights, a profound sense of wonder washing over her. It was as if the very universe had opened its arms to them, inviting them to explore its mysteries. "Look at that!" Sarah exclaimed, pointing toward a cluster of stars that began to shift and rearrange themselves into recognizable formations. It's like they're forming constellations. The excitement in her voice was infectious, and the team gathered closer together, their eyes wide with awe. Elena squinted, trying to decipher the patterns that danced before them. "Those look familiar," she murmured, her mind racing back to the carvings they had seen in the chamber. "I think they correspond to the symbols we found on the altar. This must be their way of communicating their knowledge of the cosmos." Greg nodded, his expression one of intense concentration. "If we can understand these constellations, we might unlock more about their beliefs and how they viewed the universe. This could be a key to their entire culture." The weight of his words hung in the air, and the team felt the gravity of the moment settle over them. As the stars continued to twinkle and swirl, Elena felt a sense of connection to the ancient civilization that had once thrived in this harsh land. The thought that they were experiencing a glimpse into their world filled her with both excitement and reverence. "We need to focus," she said, her voice steady. "Let's try to map out what we see and how it relates to the carvings." Michael pulled out his notebook, flipping to a blank page. "I'll start recording the patterns. If we can get a clear picture, we might be able to understand what they meant by these constellations." He began to sketch hurriedly, his pencil flying across the page as he captured the shifting shapes. As they worked together, the cosmic display began to take on a more defined structure. Each constellation revealed itself with clarity, telling stories of creation, celestial events, and the cycles of life that governed the world of the ancients. Elena felt a surge of inspiration as she recognized the connections forming between the stars overhead and the symbols engraved in the pyramid. "This is incredible," she breathed, her heart racing. "It's like we're piecing together a cosmic puzzle." Suddenly, the stars began to converge, their shimmering light forming a radiant beam that shot down toward the altar they had discovered earlier. The energy in the air intensified, and the team could feel the vibrations coursing through them, the connection between their reality and the ancient one growing stronger. "What's happening?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling with excitement and fear. "I think the altar is responding to our presence," Greg said, his eyes wide. "It's like it's awakening." The realization sent a shiver down Elena's spine, and she felt a mix of awe and trepidation as they continued to observe the unfolding spectacle. As the beam of light illuminated the altar, the carvings on its surface began to glow, each symbol pulsating with a soft light that seemed to resonate with the energy in the chamber. "This is amazing," Michael exclaimed, his enthusiasm contagious. "It's as if the altar is revealing its secrets to us." Elena stepped closer, drawn to the altar's hypnotic glow. "We need to be careful," she cautioned, her instincts on high alert. "This could be powerful magic or energy, something we don't fully understand." The thought of what they were witnessing filled her with both excitement and apprehension. As they observed, the light from the altar began to take on a form, coalescing into ethereal shapes that flickered in and out of existence. "Do you see that?" Sarah pointed, her voice filled with wonder. "It looks like figures, people." The shapes were indistinct, but they seemed to mimic the movements of the ancient civilization, their gestures animated and expressive. Elena's heart raced as she watched the figures dance in the light. "I think they're trying to communicate with us," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They're showing us their rituals, their connection to the stars." The thought sent chills down her spine, and she felt a deep sense of connection to the people who had come before her. The figures began to perform a ceremonial dance, their movements fluid and graceful as they raised their arms toward the stars. The chamber pulsed with energy, and the team felt the weight of the moment pressing upon them. "This is incredible! They're honoring the cosmos!" Greg exclaimed, his eyes shining with excitement. Elena nodded, her heart swelling with emotion. They believed in the power of the universe, that their lives were interconnected with the stars. This is a profound revelation. The realization that they were witnessing the spirituality of an ancient culture filled her with a sense of purpose. As the figures continued their dance, they began to chant, their voices echoing in the chamber. The sound was hauntingly beautiful, resonating with the very essence of the universe. It was a melody that seemed to transcend time, a connection between the past and the present that enveloped the team in a warm embrace. "Can you feel that?" Sarah whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's like the energy is wrapping around us." The sensation was palpable, a soothing warmth that filled the chamber and resonated within each of them. They felt an overwhelming sense of belonging, as if they were part of something greater than themselves. Elena closed her eyes, allowing the music to wash over her. In that moment, she felt connected to the universe, the ancient civilization, and her teammates. "This is what we came here for," she murmured, her voice filled with emotion. "To understand the stories of those who came before us, to honor their legacy." As the ceremonial dance continued, the figures began to fade, their forms dissolving into the swirling mist of the chamber. The light from the altar dimmed slowly, but the warmth of their presence lingered in the air, a reminder of the profound connection they had forged with the ancient civilization. "Wow," Greg breathed, breaking the silence that had settled over them. "That was incredible." The awe in his voice resonated with the others, and they all stood in silence, processing the magnitude of what they had just experienced. "Do you think we'll remember all of this?" Sarah asked, her brow furrowed as she glanced around the chamber. "This feels like it was meant for us, but how do we carry it forward?" The uncertainty in her voice echoed the thoughts swirling in Elena's mind. "I believe we will," Elena replied, a sense of conviction in her voice. "This is our journey now. We need to document everything we've learned and share it with the world. It's our responsibility to honor their story." The thought of carrying the legacy of the ancient civilization filled her with purpose, and she felt a renewed determination to uncover more. As they began to gather their notes and equipment, the atmosphere in the chamber shifted once more. The faint glow of the altar flickered, and Elena turned to her teammates, feeling a sense of urgency. "Let's not linger too long. We need to return to the surface and share this with the others." With a shared sense of purpose, they made their way back toward the passage that had led them into the chamber. The path felt familiar now, and they navigated it with ease, their hearts racing with anticipation of what they would do with the knowledge they had gained. As they reached the entrance, the team paused for a moment, taking one last look at the mesmerizing chamber behind them. "We'll be back," Elena vowed, her voice filled with determination. "There's so much more to discover." Emerging into the cold Antarctic air, they were greeted by the stark contrast of the bright white landscape and the vibrant energy they had just left behind. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the snow. The world outside felt different, as if they had crossed into a new realm of understanding. As they trekked back to their camp, the team was filled with a sense of accomplishment and wonder. They had not only uncovered artifacts and hieroglyphs, but had also glimpsed the very essence of a civilization that had once thrived in harmony with the cosmos. The experience had changed them, deepening their connection to the past and to one another. Later that evening, gathered around the warmth of the fire, the team shared their thoughts and reflections on the day's discoveries. "I can't believe what we witnessed," Sarah said, her voice filled with excitement. "It felt like we were part of something sacred." Michael nodded, his expression serious. "We have a responsibility now. We need to ensure that this knowledge doesn't fade away. The world needs to know about these people and their connection to the universe." Elena felt a swell of pride for her team. "Together, we will share their story. We'll document everything we've learned, and we'll return to the pyramid. There's so much left to uncover." The fire crackled, and the warmth of their shared purpose enveloped them, igniting a passion for exploration that would guide them in the days to come. As night fell, Elena gazed up at the stars, her heart filled with gratitude for the journey they had undertaken. The cosmos above twinkled with promise, and she felt an unbreakable bond with the ancient civilization that had once gazed up at the same stars. The echoes of their past would continue to resonate within her, guiding her path as she ventured further into the realms of discovery. With renewed determination, Elena closed her eyes, envisioning the adventures yet to come. The mysteries of the pyramid awaited, and she was ready to embrace whatever challenges and revelations lay ahead. Together, they would honor the legacy of the ancients and unlock the secrets of the universe. The following day dawned with a crisp chill in the air, the sun rising slowly over the horizon, casting a soft golden glow across the vast and pristine Antarctic expanse. The team gathered around the campfire, the warmth of the flames a stark contrast to the biting cold that enveloped them. Elena felt a surge of anticipation as she reviewed their notes from the previous day, the ink still fresh on the pages. They had glimpsed the ancient civilization's connection to the cosmos, and now they were determined to return to the pyramid to uncover even more of its secrets. "Today is the day we dive deeper into the mysteries of the pyramid," Elena declared, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. reflecting the fiery glow of the campfire. "We have so much to explore, and I believe we're on the cusp of something monumental." Her teammates nodded in agreement, their expressions filled with shared eagerness. Michael, ever the historian, was already poring over the sketches and notes they had compiled. "If we can find another entrance or chamber, we might discover artifacts that can give us insight into their rituals, beliefs, and perhaps their daily lives," he said, his voice steady and focused. The prospect of unearthing more artifacts fueled their determination, igniting a flame of excitement within the group. After a quick breakfast of freeze-dried meals and steaming coffee, the team bundled up in their gear, layering against the cold that threatened to seep through their clothing. They set off toward the pyramid, the bright sun reflecting off the snow, creating a blinding glare that made them squint. As they approached the imposing structure, the air crackled with energy, the remnants of their previous experience still lingering in the atmosphere like an electric charge. "Let's head to the north side again," Greg suggested, recalling the area where they had discovered the hidden passage. "I have a feeling there's more to uncover there." The team agreed, their excitement palpable as they trekked across the crunching snow, each step bringing them closer to the mysteries that lay within the ancient monument. When they reached the north face of the pyramid, the sight of the intriguing stonework sent a thrill through them. The carvings, now familiar, seemed to beckon them closer, almost as if inviting them to decipher their secrets. "Look at this section," Elena pointed out, noticing new details she hadn't seen before. "I think there are patterns here that we missed. They almost look like a map or a guide." Michael knelt down to examine the carvings more closely, brushing away a thin layer of snow that had settled on the stone. "If this is a map, it could indicate not just locations within the pyramid, but perhaps even celestial alignments. We need to document this immediately." He pulled out his notebook, sketching the intricate designs while the others gathered around. Their curiosity piqued. As they worked, Sarah took photographs from different angles, ensuring that every detail was captured for their records. "This is amazing. I can't wait to see how it all fits together," she said, her eyes gleaming with excitement as she adjusted her camera settings, aiming for the perfect shot of the carvings. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation as they finished documenting the carvings. "Let's return to the passage we found yesterday," Elena suggested, her heart racing with the thrill of the unknown. If these carvings are indeed a map, they could guide us to other chambers or significant areas within the pyramid. With a renewed sense of purpose, the team made their way back to the hidden entrance. The air felt different as they approached, charged with the energy of discovery. As they entered the passage, a sense of familiarity washed over them, but the air was also thick with mystery, as if the walls themselves were whispering secrets. "Remember to stay close," Elena reminded them, her voice echoing softly in the confined space. The glow from their flashlights illuminated the walls, revealing the intricate carvings that adorned them. The symbols seemed to pulse gently, as if reacting to their presence, and Elena felt a shiver of excitement run down her spine. As they descended further into the darkness, Elena felt a growing connection to the ancient civilization that had created these chambers. She could almost hear their voices in the whispers of the wind, urging her to uncover their story. "We're almost there," she encouraged her teammates, a sense of determination guiding her steps. The passage opened into the vast chamber they had discovered the day before. The crystals still glimmered, casting a mystical light that danced across the walls, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. "This place is breathtaking," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper as they stepped into the chamber, awe etched on her features. "It feels like stepping into another realm." Elena nodded, her gaze fixed on the altar in the center of the room. "Let's see if we can decipher more about these carvings and what they might reveal." As they gathered around the altar, the energy in the chamber seemed to intensify, the atmosphere charged with potential. Michael examined the altar closely, tracing the intricate designs with his fingers. "These symbols, they tell a story," he mused, his eyes alight with excitement. "A narrative of their connection to the stars, their rituals, and perhaps even their beliefs about the afterlife." His words hung in the air, and the team felt the weight of the moment as they contemplated the significance of the carving. As they worked, Elena noticed something unusual about one of the carvings. It depicted a figure holding a celestial orb, surrounded by swirling patterns that resembled constellations. "What do you think this represents?" she asked, pointing to the carving, her voice filled with curiosity. "It could symbolize a deity or an ancestor," Greg suggested. leaning closer to get a better look. Or perhaps it's a representation of their understanding of the cosmos, a connection between the earthly and the divine. The possibilities hung in the air, and the team felt the weight of their discoveries pressing down on them, a reminder of their responsibility to honor the past. Suddenly, Sarah's camera flashed as she captured the intricacies of the altar. "I can't help but feel that this is a sacred space," she said, her voice filled with reverence. "We need to treat it with respect." The sentiment resonated with everyone, and they nodded in agreement, mindful of the responsibility they carried to preserve the sanctity of the place. As they continued to explore the chamber, Elena felt a familiar pull toward the altar. "I want to see if there's anything beneath the surface," she said, kneeling down to examine the base of the altar. Her fingers brushed against the cool stone, and she felt a vibration resonate through her fingertips, almost as if the altar itself was alive. "Careful, Elena," Michael cautioned, his brow furrowed with concern. "We don't know what might be hidden there." But Elena felt an irresistible urge to uncover what lay beneath, a calling she couldn't ignore. With a deep breath, she pressed against a particular section of the altar, and to her astonishment, a mechanism clicked. The ground trembled slightly, and a hidden compartment opened, revealing a small, intricately carved box nestled within. Elena gasped, her heart racing as she lifted the box carefully from its resting place, cradling it as if it were a fragile treasure. "What do you think is inside?" Greg asked, leaning closer, his curiosity piqued. The box was adorned with celestial motifs similar to those they had seen throughout the pyramid, and it radiated a sense of significance, as if it held the essence of the civilization within. "I don't know, but we need to open it," Elena replied, her heart pounding with anticipation. The team gathered around her, their breath held in suspense. With trembling hands, she lifted the lid of the box, revealing a collection of small artifacts, delicate jewelry, ceremonial tools, and what appeared to be a scroll made of a material unlike anything they had seen before, its surface shimmering with an iridescent glow. "Wow," Sarah breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "This is incredible. This could be a treasure trove of knowledge." Each artifact seemed to pulse with energy, and the team felt a sense of awe as they carefully examined the contents, their minds racing with possibilities. Elena gingerly lifted the scroll, its surface smooth and cool against her fingers. "Let's see if we can decipher this," she said, unfurling it slowly. The scroll was adorned with more intricate symbols and illustrations that depicted scenes of celestial events, agricultural cycles, and rituals. This might explain more about their beliefs and how they interacted with the cosmos, she speculated, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and reverence. As they gathered around to study the scroll, Michael's eyes lit up with realization. "Look at this. It's a star chart," he exclaimed, his enthusiasm contagious. "It shows the positions of the stars during significant events. If we can understand this, it could provide insight into their agricultural practices and their understanding of time." The urgency of their discovery filled the air, propelling them into a flurry of activity as they worked to piece together the puzzle. As they studied the scroll, Elena felt a sense of connection to the ancients, a bridge across time that linked their lives to those who had come before. Each symbol they deciphered brought them closer to understanding the world of the ancient civilization, their hopes and their dreams. The weight of their discoveries felt both exhilarating and daunting, a reminder of the responsibility they bore. Hours passed as they worked diligently, their voices echoing in the chamber as they discussed the significance of each piece of information. The atmosphere was thick with excitement, the air charged with the energy of discovery. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the chamber, causing the walls to tremble slightly. "What was that?" Greg asked, his eyes wide with concern, a hint of anxiety creeping into his voice. "I don't know," Elena replied, glancing around nervously. "But we should be on guard." The unease settled over them, and they felt the need to move quickly. "Let's finish documenting what we have and prepare to head back to camp," Michael suggested, urgency creeping into his voice. "We can analyze the scroll further in a safer environment." As they carefully packed the artifacts and the scroll into their packs, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The energy in the chamber seemed to shift, and she felt a weight pressing down on her, an instinctive warning that they were not alone. "We need to stick together," she urged, her voice steady despite the growing apprehension. With their gear packed, the team made their way back toward the passage. As they moved, Elena felt a strange sensation, as if the very walls of the pyramid were alive and aware of their presence. It was as if the ancient spirits were watching, waiting to see what they would do next. As they stepped into the passage, the rumbling intensified, echoing through the narrow walls. "Hurry!" Elena urged, her heart racing as they quickened their pace. The adrenaline coursed through her veins, propelling them forward, their instincts kicking in. When they finally emerged into the light of the outside world, they paused for a moment, taking in the stark beauty of the Antarctic landscape. The sun was beginning to set, casting an orange hue across the horizon and painting the sky in brilliant shades of pink, purple. "We made it," Greg said, relief flooding his voice. But as they looked back at the pyramid, a sense of unease washed over them. The structure loomed in the fading light, its ancient stones holding secrets that felt both inviting and foreboding. "We'll be back," Elena vowed, determination etched on her face. "There's so much more to learn." As they made their way back to camp, feelings of accomplishment and wonder mingled within them. They had not only uncovered artifacts and hieroglyphs, but had also glimpsed the very essence of a civilization that had once thrived in harmony with the cosmos. The experience had changed them, deepening their connection to the past and to one another. Later that evening, gathered around the warmth of the fire, the team shared their thoughts and reflections on the day's discoveries. "I can't believe what we witnessed," Sarah said, her voice filled with excitement. "It felt like we were part of something sacred." Michael nodded, his expression serious. "We have a responsibility now. We need to ensure that this knowledge doesn't fade away. The world needs to know about these people and their connection to the universe." His conviction resonated with the group, and they felt a shared sense of purpose. Elena felt a swell of pride for her team. "Together, we will share their story. We'll document everything we've learned, and we'll return to the pyramid. There's so much left to uncover." The fire crackled, and the warmth of their shared purpose enveloped them, igniting a passion for exploration that would guide them in the days to come. As night fell, Elena gazed up at the stars, her heart filled with gratitude for the journey they had undertaken. The cosmos above twinkled with promise, and she felt an unbreakable bond with the ancient civilization that had once gazed up at the same stars. The echoes of their past would continue to resonate within her, guiding her path as she ventured further into the realms of discovery. With renewed determination, Elena closed her eyes, envisioning the adventures yet to come. The mysteries of the pyramid awaited, and she was ready to embrace whatever challenges and revelations lay ahead. Together, they would honor the legacy of the ancients and unlock the secrets of the universe. As the fire crackled and the wind whispered through the icy landscape, Elena's thoughts swirled with possibilities. What would they find when they returned? What truths still lay hidden within the cold stone of the pyramid? The questions lingered in her mind, fueling her resolve. The night stretched on, and as the stars blinked down from the vast expanse above, Elena felt a profound sense of purpose settle within her. This was more than just an expedition. It was a journey into the heart of history, a quest to connect the past with the present. The legacy of those who had come before them was alive in their discoveries, and she was determined to ensure that their voices would echo throughout time. The next morning, a sense of urgency filled the air as the team prepared to return to the pyramid. Elena could feel the weight of their recent discoveries pressing down on her, a tantalizing promise of more secrets waiting to be uncovered. The sun rose higher, casting a brilliant light over the frozen landscape, and the team set off, their spirits buoyed by the excitement of what lay ahead. As they approached the pyramid, the towering structure loomed majestically against the clear blue sky, its stonework a testament to the skill and dedication of the ancient civilization that had built it. The ancient stones, weathered yet resilient, seemed to whisper stories of a bygone era, and Elena felt a shiver of anticipation coursing through her veins. "Today, we dig deeper," she announced, her voice steady and full of resolve. "We need to carefully analyze the scroll and the artifacts we found. They could change everything we know about this civilization." Once inside the pyramid, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The cool, damp air held an almost palpable energy, and the familiar hum of the crystals resonated softly in the background. The team made their way to the chamber, their feet echoing against the stone floor as they navigated the passageways, the sound reverberating like a heartbeat in the silence. Let's set up our equipment here, Michael suggested, gesturing to a clear space near the altar. The team quickly unpacked their gear, setting up lights and cameras while Sarah organized her notes and prepared to document the findings. The flickering artificial lights created a surreal ambience, casting long shadows that danced along the walls. Elena took a deep breath, centering herself as she approached the altar, which still bore the marks of their previous explorations. The carved box and scroll lay before her, a tangible connection to the ancient civilization they sought to understand. "We need to approach this with respect and care," she reminded her teammates. "These artifacts are more than just objects. They carry the weight of history." As they gathered around the altar, Elena gently unrolled the scroll, revealing its intricate designs and symbols. "Let's work together to decipher this," she said, her excitement bubbling beneath the surface. "Michael, can you focus on the star chart? Greg, you take the illustrations, and Sarah, document everything as we go." The team nodded, falling into a rhythm as they began to dissect the scroll. Michael's brow furrowed in concentration as he traced the celestial patterns with his finger. "This star chart appears to mark significant events in their calendar. Look here, these alignments coincide with seasonal changes," he explained, pointing to specific symbols that glinted in the light. "Exactly," Elena agreed, her eyes lighting up with understanding. These alignments likely dictated their agricultural cycles. They were deeply connected to the rhythms of nature. The implications of their findings filled the air with excitement, each revelation drawing them deeper into the world of the ancients. Meanwhile, Greg studied the illustrations, his expression shifting from curiosity to awe. These scenes depict rituals, possibly related to their agricultural practices and celestial observations. "It looks like they held ceremonies to honor the stars," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "This one shows them planting crops during a specific constellation's rise." The vivid imagery breathed life into their understanding of the civilization, making it feel more real and tangible. "Which means they had an advanced understanding of astronomy," Elena mused, her mind racing with the possibilities. "They used the stars to guide their lives, just as we do today." This connection to the cosmos was likely central to their culture. The thought ignited a fire within her, inspiring her to delve deeper into the mysteries that surrounded them. As they worked, Sarah moved between her teammates, capturing photographs and jotting down notes with quick, precise strokes. "This is incredible," she said, her voice tinged with excitement. "We're uncovering a whole new understanding of their society. It's like we're piecing together a giant puzzle, one that has lain dormant for centuries." The thought of their work being a bridge between the past and the present filled her with a sense of purpose. Hours passed as they delved deeper into the scroll, the chamber filled with their animated discussions and laughter. Each new discovery felt like a step closer to understanding the civilization that had once thrived within the cold embrace of the Antarctic. The atmosphere was charged with a sense of camaraderie, the shared goal binding them closer together as a team. Suddenly, a low rumble reverberated through the chamber, causing the ground beneath them to tremble slightly. The team paused, exchanging worried glances. "What was that?" Greg asked, his voice edged with concern. "I don't know," Elena replied, a knot of unease forming in her stomach. "But we should be cautious. It might be a sign of structural instability." She glanced around the chamber, noting how the walls seemed to vibrate with energy, as if responding to their presence. "Let's not panic," Michael suggested, trying to keep the mood light despite the tension in the air. "We're here to uncover secrets, not to become part of the pyramid's history." His humor helped ease the moment, but the underlying anxiety remained, simmering just below the surface. After a moment, the rumbling subsided, and they resumed their work, though the unease lingered in the back of their minds like a shadow. As they continued to analyze the scroll, Elena felt a growing urgency to uncover more about the civilization's beliefs. "We need to find out if there are any references to their deities or spiritual practices," she said, her brow furrowing in concentration. "Let's look for symbols or imagery that might indicate their religious beliefs." The team focused intently on the scroll, each member contributing to the search for deeper meaning in the ancient text. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the chamber, they stumbled upon a series of symbols that seemed to depict celestial beings. "Look at this," Sarah said, pointing to a cluster of intricate designs. These figures appear to represent gods or celestial entities. I think they might have worshipped them as part of their agricultural practices. Elena leaned closer, her heart racing at the implications. If they associated these deities with the stars, it could explain their rituals. They might have believed that the gods influenced their harvests, their lives, and the very cycles of nature. The realization sent a thrill through her, connecting the dots of their findings into a cohesive narrative that painted a vivid picture of the civilization's worldview. Just then, a flicker of movement caught her eye. Turning toward the altar, Elena gasped as she noticed a shadow passing across the wall, momentarily obscuring the carvings. "Did you see that?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. The others looked up, their expressions shifting from excitement to confusion. "See what?" Michael asked, scanning the chamber for signs of movement. "There was something moving," Elena insisted, her pulse quickening. "I swear I saw a figure. Probably just a trick of the light," Greg suggested, though his voice lacked conviction. "This place plays tricks on your mind." He shrugged it off, but the unease in Elena's stomach only deepened. Elena shook her head, feeling a deep sense of unease. "I know what I saw. We need to be vigilant." The atmosphere thickened with tension, and the team exchanged nervous glances, their earlier excitement now tempered by a growing sense of foreboding. "Let's finish what we started," Michael urged, trying to refocus their attention. "We can't let fear distract us from our discoveries." With renewed determination, they turned back to the scroll, but the air felt heavy with unspoken worries. As they worked, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, as if the very walls of the pyramid were alive with the memories of those who had come before. Suddenly, the rumbling returned, louder this time, shaking the chamber more violently. "We can't leave it behind!" Elena yelled, urgency fueling her movements as they hastily packed their findings. The ground trembled beneath them, and the crystals flickered ominously, casting erratic shadows across the chamber. As they raced toward the passage, the rumbling intensified, echoing like thunder in the confined space. "Hurry!" Elena urged, her heart racing as they quickened their pace. The adrenaline coursed through her veins, propelling them forward, their instincts kicking in. When they finally emerged into the blinding light of the outside world, the team gasped for breath, relief flooding over them. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the snow-covered landscape. "We made it!" Michael exclaimed, his voice filled with exhilaration. But as they looked back at the pyramid, a sense of dread washed over them. The structure loomed ominously, its ancient stones vibrating as if echoing their escape. "What was that?" Sarah whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "I don't know," Elena replied, her heart racing, "but something is definitely not right." The unease settled heavily on her chest, a reminder that their journey was far from over. As they made their way back to camp, Elena's thoughts swirled with possibilities and concerns. They had uncovered so much, yet the pyramid held secrets that were still hidden, and she felt an undeniable pull to return. Whatever lay within its walls was intertwined with the fate of the civilization they were studying, and she was determined to uncover the truth. That night, gathered around the campfire, Elena shared her thoughts with the team. "We've only scratched the surface of what the pyramid holds," she said, her voice steady. "We need to go back, but we must be prepared for whatever we might encounter." The others nodded, their expressions serious. "We'll need to gather more equipment and ensure we're ready for anything," Greg agreed, his resolve firm. Michael added, "And we should take turns keeping watch. If there's something in there with us, we need to be vigilant." The weight of their discoveries and the unsettling experiences they had just endured hung heavily in the air, fostering a shared sense of purpose among them. As the fire crackled and the wind howled outside their camp, Elena felt a sense of determination settle within her. They were on the brink of something extraordinary, and she would not rest until they had unveiled the secrets of the past. The ancient civilization's legacy awaited them, and together they would honor it, no matter the cost. Elena's thoughts drifted to the scroll and the artifacts they had discovered. Each artifact was like a thread in a tapestry, weaving together the story of a people who had once thrived in this harsh land. She could almost hear their voices, their laughter, and their prayers echoing through the ages. "We owe it to them to understand their story," she mused aloud, her voice barely above a whisper, but the sentiment resonated deeply with her teammates. The night stretched on, and as the stars blinked down from the vast expanse above, Elena felt a profound sense of purpose settle within. This was more than just an expedition. It was a journey into the heart of history, a quest to connect the past with the present. The legacy of those who had come before them was alive in their discoveries, and she was determined to ensure that their voices would echo throughout time. With the fire casting flickering shadows against the canvas of night, Elena closed her eyes, envisioning the adventures yet to come. The mysteries of the pyramid awaited, and she was ready to embrace whatever challenges and revelations lay ahead. Together, they would honor the legacy of the ancients and unlock the secrets of the universe. As the fire crackled and the wind whispered through the icy landscape, Elena's thoughts swirled with possibilities. What would they find when they returned? What truths still lay hidden within the cold stone of the pyramid? The questions lingered in her mind, fueling her resolve to return, to delve deeper into the mysteries that awaited them. The ancient civilization's legacy was not just a story of the past, it was a living testament to the resilience of humanity, and she felt honored to be a part of its resurgence. The following morning, the team awoke to a starkly different atmosphere. The air was crisp and charged with anticipation, a palpable excitement hanging over them like an electric current. Elena could feel the rhythm of her heart quickening as they prepared to return to the pyramid, a sense of purpose driving her every movement. After a quick breakfast of energy bars and coffee, the team gathered their gear, ensuring they had everything they needed for what promised to be a pivotal day. "Today we go deeper," Elena announced, her eyes gleaming with determination. "We're not just revisiting the chamber, we're going to explore every corner, every passage, until we uncover the truth about this civilization." Her words ignited a fire within her teammates, their resolve solidifying in the face of the unknown. As they trekked across the snow, the landscape sparkled under the bright sun, a deceptive beauty that belied the dangers that lay ahead. The pyramid loomed closer, its ancient stones casting long shadows that danced across the snow. With each step, Elena felt a mix of excitement and trepidation, knowing that the answers they sought lay within its depths. When they reached the entrance, a chill ran down Elena's spine. The air inside the pyramid was cool and damp, and the familiar hum of the crystals resonated softly in the background, creating an almost ethereal atmosphere. They descended into the passage, the sound of their footsteps echoing against the stone walls, a reminder of the weight of history that surrounded them. "Let's head straight to the chamber," Michael suggested, his voice steady. "We can set up our equipment and begin our analysis right away." The team nodded in agreement, their focus sharp as they moved through the dimly lit corridors. As they entered the Funic, vast chamber, the crystals glimmered with a mystical light, illuminating the intricate carvings that adorned the walls. Elena felt a familiar thrill at the sight, the energy of the room enveloping her like a warm embrace. They quickly set up their equipment around the altar, ensuring everything was in place for their investigation. "Let's start with the scroll," Elena proposed, her fingers itching to touch the ancient artifact once more. "We need to translate the remaining symbols and see if there are any further insights we can glean about their rituals and beliefs." Michael and Greg gathered around the scroll, their heads bent in concentration as they worked to decipher the remaining symbols. Sarah moved between them, snapping photos and jotting down notes, capturing the moment for posterity. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation, the thrill of discovery hanging thick in the air. As they worked, Elena's mind wandered back to the visions she had experienced the previous day. She couldn't shake the feeling that the pyramid was more than just a structure. It was a living entity, holding on to the memories and stories of those who had come before. "What if the symbols on the scroll are more than just historical references?" she mused aloud. "What if they're a part of a larger narrative, something that connects us all to their past?" "Connecting us to their past?" Sarah echoed, looking intrigued. "You mean like a message? A warning?" "Exactly," Elena said, her excitement growing. "What if these symbols are not only about their beliefs but also guide us in our journey? Maybe they're meant to lead us to something important, something that could change our understanding of this civilization." As they continued to decode the scroll, the excitement in the chamber intensified. Each symbol they deciphered seemed to reveal another layer of the civilization's beliefs and practices. It was as if the scroll was alive, whispering secrets that had been buried for centuries. Suddenly, a faint tremor shook the chamber, and the team exchanged uneasy glances. "That's the second time today," Greg said, his brow furrowing. Do you think it's the structure settling, or is something else happening? I don't know, Elena replied, her voice steady but laced with concern. But we should prepare ourselves just in case. Let's keep our equipment close and be ready to move quickly if we need to. They nodded, a shared sense of unease settling over them as they resumed their work. Hours passed as they delved deeper into the mysteries of the scroll, the team fully immersed in their task. With each symbol deciphered, they unveiled new revelations about the civilization's agricultural practices, celestial worship, and the intricate rituals that connected them to the universe. Among the symbols, they uncovered a series that depicted a celestial event, a solar eclipse. This is significant, Michael said, his voice tinged with excitement. It suggests that they had an advanced understanding of astronomical events. They might have used eclipses as markers for important ceremonies or agricultural cycles. Elena felt a rush of excitement at this revelation. If we can pinpoint when these eclipses occurred, we might be able to establish a timeline for their civilization. This could help us understand their societal structure and the significance they placed on celestial events. Just then, a loud crash echoed from deeper within the pyramid, reverberating through the chamber like a clap of thunder. The sound sent a jolt of adrenaline through Elena, and she instinctively looked toward the passage they had entered. "What was that?" she exclaimed, her heart racing. "Let's be careful," Greg said, his voice steady as he scanned the shadows. "It might be an aftershock from earlier. We should stay focused." But the tension in the room was palpable, and the thrill of discovery was now tinged with fear. "Should we investigate?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide with uncertainty. "What if something dangerous is lurking in there?" Elena hesitated, weighing the risks. "We need to know what's causing these sounds. It could be an important discovery, or it could be something we need to protect ourselves from." Michael nodded, his expression serious. "If we're going to continue our work, we need to understand what's happening in the pyramid. But we should stick together, and we need to be prepared for anything." With their hearts pounding in their chests, the team gathered their gear, ensuring they had flashlights and communication devices ready. They exchanged anxious glances, each of them aware that they were stepping into the unknown. As they moved cautiously through the passage, the air felt thick with tension. The faint echo of their footsteps reverberated against the walls, a reminder of the history that surrounded them. They reached the end of the corridor, pausing as they approached an archway leading into another chamber. The sound of shifting stones echoed ominously from within, sending a chill down Elena's spine. "What do you think is in there?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I don't know," Greg replied, his brow furrowed in concentration. "But we need to be ready for anything." Taking a deep breath, Elena led the way into the chamber, her flashlight cutting through the darkness. The beam illuminated the space, revealing a vast room filled with towering stone pillars, each intricately carved with symbols that seemed to dance in the flickering light. As they stepped inside, the air felt charged, almost electric, as if the very walls were alive with ancient energy. The team moved further into the chamber, their eyes widening as they took in the sight before them. In the center of the room stood a massive stone altar, adorned with offerings and artifacts that had clearly been placed there for a purpose. "This must have been a place of worship," Michael said, his voice filled with awe. "Look at all the offerings. This civilization clearly held their rituals in high regard." Elena's heart raced as she approached the altar, feeling an overwhelming sense of reverence. Among the offerings, she spotted small figurines, pottery, and even remnants of food, all carefully arranged as if awaiting their next ceremony. "This is incredible," she breathed, her fingers itching to examine the artifacts. Suddenly, another rumble echoed through the chamber, shaking the ground beneath them. The sound was accompanied by a cloud of dust that settled over the altar, obscuring the offerings momentarily. "We need to be careful," Sarah shouted, her eyes wide with fear. "This place is unstable. Let's not panic," Elena urged, her voice steady as she scanned the room. "We need to document this before we leave. This could be crucial to understanding their spiritual practices." As they worked to photograph and record the artifacts, Elena felt a strange sensation wash over her. It was as if the room was alive, buzzing with energy that pulsed beneath her skin. She glanced at her teammates, who were focused on their tasks, unaware of the stirring presence that seemed to envelop them. "Do you feel that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Michael looked up, his expression thoughtful. Feel what? It's like the air is charged with something, Elena replied, trying to articulate the sensation. Like there's energy here that's just waiting to be unleashed. Before Michael could respond, another crash echoed from the depths of the pyramid, louder and more intense than before. The ground trembled violently, and dust rained down from the ceiling. "We need to get out of here," Greg shouted, his voice filled with urgency. "Grab what you can," Elena commanded, her heart racing as they hastily gathered their equipment. The sense of urgency propelled them into action, and they moved quickly toward the exit, adrenaline fueling their movements. As they rushed through the passageway, the tremors intensified, and the walls seemed to pulse with energy. Elena could feel the pyramid vibrating, as if it were awakening from a long slumber. "This place is coming down," she shouted, panic creeping into her voice. They stumbled into the main chamber, the entrance looming ahead like a beacon of safety. Just as they reached the threshold, a loud crack echoed through the air, and a section of the ceiling collapsed behind them, sending debris crashing to the ground. "Go! Go! Go!" Elena urged, pushing her teammates forward as they sprinted toward the exit. The dust choked the air, and panic surged through Elena as they burst into the open, finally emerging into the bright light of day. Gasping for breath, the team stumbled into the sunlight, their hearts pounding as they turned to look back at the pyramid. The majestic structure stood ominously, dust swirling around its base as if it were alive. "What just happened?" Sarah gasped, her face pale with shock. "I don't know, but it felt like the pyramid was trying to tell us something," Elena replied, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and exhilaration. "We need to regroup and assess what we've learned." As they gathered their bearings, the enormity of their experience washed over them. They had glimpsed something extraordinary within the pyramid, an ancient civilization's connection to the cosmos, their rituals, and their profound understanding of the universe. But the danger they had just faced was a stark reminder that the past was not easily uncovered, and some secrets were fiercely guarded. "Let's get back to camp and review what we have," Michael suggested, his voice steady despite the adrenaline still coursing through his veins. "We need to strategize and decide our next steps. There's so much more to explore." With a renewed sense of purpose, the team made their way back across the snowy landscape, the weight of their discoveries mingling with the adrenaline from their narrow escape. The pyramid loomed behind them, a towering enigma filled with mysteries yet to be unveiled. As they reached their camp, Elena felt a surge of determination. The ancient civilization's legacy awaited them, and together they would honor it, no matter the cost. They had uncovered fragments of a story that spanned centuries, and now it was up to them to piece it together and reveal the truth. That night, as they settled around the campfire, the stars twinkled brightly overhead, a reminder of the cosmos that had so deeply influenced the civilization they had come to study. Elena felt a connection to the ancients, their voices echoing through time as they shared their wisdom and their fears. "Tomorrow, we return to the pyramid," Elena declared, her voice strong and resolute. "We'll uncover whatever secrets remain hidden in its depths. Together, we will honor their legacy and ensure that their story is never forgotten." The team nodded in agreement, their eyes shining with determination. They were bound by a shared purpose, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The journey had only just begun, and the mysteries of the past still beckoned them forward into the unknown.